our good friend John Denton from MLB.com, live from Busch Stadium. John Denton, you have the honor of being the last guest ever on the Bernie Show here on 590 The Fan KFNS.
Bernie, that brings me both sadness and great pride because I admire your work, and thanks for having me. And just sad to see you go away. I hope this is not the end. I hope there's plenty more to come from you because I know you got a lot to say, and it's always very intelligent speak, and St. Louis needs to hear from you. So I hope it continues.
Well, I'm not ready to retire yet. In fact, I think sometimes writing and talking about sports keeps me going. You know what I'm saying? So,
exactly.
But I thank you. I appreciate your sentiment. I appreciate getting to know you during this time. And you do one hell of a job for MLB.com covering the Cardinals. You really do. And you're great to your readers on X who follow you at John Denton 555. I mean that every single day. You're like clockwork. You tweet out all these different notes about what's happening at the ballpark in the hours before the game. Perfect stuff. So you're a valuable guy for Cardinals fans, John Denton. So appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So tell us about Gordon Graceffo coming up. Number one, what prompted that, and how do you think he'll be used?
Yeah, Bernie, in a weird world, if you can follow me here for a second, Dylan Carlson doubles in that run last night. It makes it a 7-run game instead of an 8-run game. Then instead of using Brandon Crawford, they have to use Ryan Fernandez. Well, that burns him for multiple innings tonight. They felt like they needed some coverage. Call Ben Johnson and tell him to get Graceffo on a plane. And 8:30 this morning, Graceffo was on the plane to come here. So sometimes players get weird breaks in this game. Sometimes you get your promotion because you're blowing the doors off of it down there, and then sometimes something weird like this happens. Graceffo has been pitching really well. He's 4-0 in his last 4 starts in June, but he basically got his promotion because Dylan Carlson drove in that run last night to make it a 7-run game in a weird sort of world.
That is funny. I mean, who would have thunk it, right? But no, one time, John, and I know you know this, you weren't here at the time. It was right before you got here. Like he was really considering like a rising star prospect in the Cardinals organization. He had a big arm, a lot of swing and miss, just the kind of guy they were looking for. And he was a fast riser. And then he hit that bump where he had some shoulder issues. It wasn't anything that required surgery, but it really derailed his career for a while because he couldn't get that swing and miss stuff back. But from what you have learned, it seems like he is getting that back now, right?
Yeah, he's made some mechanical changes. Last year was hard for him because, like you said, he was the fair-haired boy. He was, rising through the organization. 10 wins, I think it was, in 22 with he pitched in Peoria. He pitched in Springfield, and then he got to AAA and hurt his shoulder and got knocked around a little bit. Bernie, good story that you'll like. I think 2022. Cardinals were set to play a game in Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach that night. It was supposed to rain, 90% chance of rain. So what the Cardinals did was pull all their regulars, Albert Pujols, Yadier Molina, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, and they said, we're going to take live BP in the day. They're going to send they sent the scout team to West Palm that night to get rained on, and sure enough, we did get rained on. But that day, they had just some young kid named Gordon Graceffo, nobody knew, throwing live BP. And this kid's hitting 96, 97, and, the Major League batters are like, who the hell is this guy? Where does he come from? This is not what we were expecting for a live BP. This kid was throwing gas. He doesn't throw that hard anymore, but he really caught eyes in the organization. John Mozeliak was there that day. A lot of the front office was there. That's the first day where I think he really caught the attention of this organization. And, there's been some bumps along the way, but, here he is now. He's pitching his best baseball. Like I said, he's 4-0, last 4 starts in June. So, here's a chance for him, kind of like Adam Kloffenstein last week. Who knows? It may be one inning in the 7th inning or 8th inning of a 1-run game, and he gets thrown in there, for 1 inning of work. But this is a big chance for him.
No doubt about it. John, I wanted to take our remaining time with you and I know you're a busy man, so I don't want to keep it too long. But I want to ask you, because Cardinals hit the official halfway mark tonight. This is their 81st game out of 162. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the team, where it stands as we're at the halfway mark, 1 game to go tonight. What do you like about this team? What concerns you about this team? What's the strength? What's the weakness? What's the strength? What's the vulnerability?
I think the bullpen is definitely the strength. It's a shame they don't have Keenan Middleton. It's a shame they don't have Riley O'Brien. They would be even better. That is definitely the strength. I think the most, outside of personnel, I think the most important decision of the season was taking Ryan Helsley and telling him he's going to get 3 outs and not 4 outs, not 5 outs. He can get 3 outs. He's going to pitch 1 inning. That's made him more available. That's made him more effective. Ali Marmol gets knocked a lot in this town. Dusty Blake. That's a great decision that they made, and it's really worked out well for this franchise. Offensively, I think there's a lot of holes in that lineup. Oddly, their best stretch of baseball season came with Wilson Contreras out, and it came with Lars Nootbaar out. Now, you want to think that adding those guys will make them better. I still want to see it. They were not a good baseball team the first half of the season. I didn't, I thought it's looking a lot like 23 all over again. But you can go back that Saturday night in Milwaukee. They lost that game, but they played a hell of a good baseball game that day. And we were just talking to Marmol about that now. He thinks that was kind of a turning point of the season. He got thrown out. Descalzo got thrown out the next day. But that Saturday night, I think it was the first baseman, the guy came from the Phillies who went to the Brewers, Hoskins. Hoskins hit a walk-off home run to beat him that night. But that's the night where they played a lot better baseball. They hung together after that, and then they went on a winning streak. And it's been a different team since then. Best record in the National League over the last 41 games. They're a more resilient team. The pitching staff has been improved. There are warts there. They're starting to show signs of wear and tear. I do worry about them overusing the bullpen, but I think the bullpen's a strength. And if Contreras can get back to where he was, if Nootbaar can someday get back to where he was, their lineup can be, middle of the pack. And that's all they want to be, because beginning of the season, they were 28th, 29th, 30th in just about every category. We were saying at the time, if they could just get to the middle of the pack, they could be a decent ball club, and that's kind of where they are now.
John, I want to pose a question to you that was actually asked by my friend and your colleague at MLB.com, Will Leach, where he talked about the Cardinals. It was one of his the most 5 fascinating things right now to him anyway in baseball. And I always read that. It's a great read. And Will is a buddy of mine. But anyway, one of the questions was about the Cardinals, and he noted, their 26-15 record since May 12th. But he just said, I have to wonder, is that for real? And he sort of went back and forth. But I think that's a really good question that's on the minds of a lot of Cardinals fans. Is this for real? This 26-15, does this represent who they are? Is it for real? Can we trust it?
Yeah, part of me thinks yes. When they go take 2 out of 3 against the Braves, when they play the way they did against the Giants, and then there are nights like last night where, we all know that pitching staff is aging. They're one injury away from this thing blowing up. They're really on some thin ice. They've gone, 6 weeks now without a real fifth starter. So they tried Liberatore in that spot, tried Palante. Palante will pitch tonight. Who knows if it might be Graceffo. Liberatore might get another shot. Yes, I believe in how well they played, but I'm not 100% certain they could do it again. Like I said, they're one injury of a pitching staff away from this thing blowing up. They're one Mason Wynn injury from this thing blowing up. I mean, who thought 3 months ago that we would say Mason Wynn and Brendan Donovan and Alec Burleson are the 3 best players on this team? Like, if they lose any of those guys right now, it could really be tough. But
that's right.
Yes, they played better, but I'm not 100% sold right now that they can repeat it again.
No, I understand, because I think the offense is still the liability. I know it's been a little better during this winning stretch, but my goodness, in terms of average runs per game, they rank 14th in the National League and 25th overall. That's the bottom line. So we can't trust this offense. But to your point, Contreras is back. They survived that okay. Nootbaar's coming back. And when he can stay in the lineup, he makes a difference. Edman can help them. And it's kind of nice to know that they've had some breakout guys in Burleson and Donovan and Wynn. And they needed to have some breakout guys, and they did. So maybe that means it'll come together better offensively in the second half. I think there's a better chance of that happening than I may have thought about a month ago or so or 6 weeks ago. So I don't know. They're an interesting team. I'm just glad they're in the race because it's more fun.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And Bernie, I kept thinking Arenado's going to have this month where he's, untouchable, where he hits everything in sight. Goldschmidt will have that month. I don't know if Arenado's going to have it. Like, his arms are really messed up right now. His shoulders, his right elbow is hurting him from where he got hit by the pitch. The left forearm is really an issue. We're seeing more and more of those one-hand swings, kind of chopping down on the ball. Like, I've seen him hit more balls to right field this year than he's hit in the previous 10 years. It just doesn't look like the same guy, and he's not wearing it well. It's eating at him big time. I just don't know if it's going to happen this year for him where he has one of those months where he takes off. I still think Goldschmidt maybe is in a position where he could do that, but Nola's really going through a lot of stuff right now. Maybe after the All-Star break he can get it going again, but he's battling injuries, he's battling himself. A lot of things are going on with him right now. But like you said, if it wasn't for the breakouts of the Alec Burlesons and the Mason Winds and Brendan Donovans, guys like that, because they've had to fill in for the Goldschmidts and the Arenados and the Gormans. Gorman's been a disappointment to me. I'm really shocked that that's gone as badly as it has. There just shouldn't be that much swing and miss in his game based off of where he was, the 3 previous seasons.
And John, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask you about it. Here's the thing, because we're talking about the offense, which over the course of the season, first half has been mediocre to say the least. But, that's with Goldschmidt and Arenado being way down from where they were, and the expectations going into this season were that they would get a lot from Jordan Walker based on what he did as a rookie, and that Nolan Gorman, who was really good last year, all things considered, he would take another step. So you got the 2 old guys who aren't what they used to be. Walker's in the minors. Gorman is 3 for his last 51 with a 47% strikeout rate, and it's like, in some ways, I'm actually surprised the offense has held together as much as it has. Not that it's great, but it's at least held together for a while. But what should we expect in the second half in terms of Walker and Gorman?
Yeah, if someone had told you that back in February, you would have said, "Well, the Cardinals are a last place team." Like, I'm guessing, and not many people would have disagreed with you. Like, you wouldn't have thought there was a world where they could survive those kind of struggles from those guys. I keep telling myself that Jordan Walker's too smart, too talented to wander around in AAA and not be back here. You keep thinking at some point he's going to be back here. When they didn't bring him back when Nootbaar went down, that was really telling. I thought that was a big sign that maybe he has further to go than we realize. I think he has 3 home runs. He has the same amount of home runs that Victor Scott has, which is very, troubling. But Bernie, if you rerun the tape from, to 22, I told you, this kid's not going to be a 40 home run hitter. I think he's going to be a 22 to 25 home run hitter. I know he's 6'6", I know he's 250 pounds, but that's just not his swing. It never has been his swing, and they can try to make him a home run hitter all they want. I think they've done a lot of damage to him trying to get him to lift balls. The kid hit everything hard last year, but it just so happened to be on the ground. I know you want doubles and triples and home runs from him, but just let him hit the ball hard. Like, I wish they would go back to just letting him hit the ball hard, and he'll figure it out as his career goes along. But, who knows? I don't know if we'll see him again this year or not in St. Louis, but I hope we do because his future's too bright, and he's too smart, and he's too great of a kid not to get another shot up here.
One quick follow-up, and that'll be it, John, I promise. I don't want to keep you from your rounds. Do you think when Nootbaar gets back, my little brain, I'm thinking about this. It's like, well, Nootbaar can play left field. They can put Donovan at second base. Edman will be back soon enough. And here's my question: if Gorman keeps sinking, would you envision a trip to Memphis to regroup for him?
Yeah, I'm beginning to wonder if I thought about 6 weeks ago that was coming actually. And then he kind of came out of it and had a stretch where, with him, when he's drawing walks, that tells you he's seeing the ball a lot better. And he usually starts hitting the ball better when he starts drawing walks. And, he, 6 weeks ago he was in a bad spot. He kind of came out of it, and now he's back in it again. And, I think that Nootbaar would go into left field and Donovan would play more second base. I think Tommy Edman would play more second base / shortstop. And, you wonder if Gorman might be the odd man out with that. He may severely get his at-bats cut into, which, is a shame because he's the future of this this team. But at some point, he's got to figure it out. You cannot have as much swing and miss as he's had so far this season. And, like I said, I'm the biggest one to blame. Like, I thought the kid was.
No, we all thought that.
He had a great offseason. He had a great offseason, came in great shape. He figured the back thing out, and, it's odd to just see the swing and miss that he's had so far.
John Denton, love you, man, and thanks for all you've done for me by coming on the show, and I know our listeners have really enjoyed you. The station's been honored to have you on. I'll see you down the road soon. Who knows, man? Second half of the season, I may get my big rump out there to Busch Stadium a few times. So
nothing would make me happier, Bernie.
All right, I'll see you,
Thanks
brother.
So much. I appreciate it.
You take care. That's our guy, John Denton, here on 590 Fan KFNS. Yeah, I tell you what, man. Like I said it yesterday and repeat it today. I'm a big time Nolan Gorman honk, and last year took 28 homers or 27-28, slugged 478, and he was on his way. And you're always going to account for the fact he's going to have some terrible slumps during the course of the year. But last year, what happened is he was able to pull out of it, and he got back in the groove, and home runs are flying again. This year, though, man, this has been an extreme drought, and he just keeps falling deeper and deeper into it. And as I mentioned, I would say of the first half of the season, he's the most frustrating Cardinal. There's 146 major league hitters that have qualified for enough at bats like for a batting title. So I added in last night's at bat. So he's hitting 191 this season, which is 144th among 146 hitters. And his strikeout rate's the second highest in the majors. His slugging percentage for the season is down to 409. And again, last year was 478. And if you look at like a just recent stretch, I mentioned to John Denton, 3 for 50 since June the 12th, 3 for 51. That's an 0.59 batting average, and he has struck out 47% of the time. This month, Mr. Jim Hewer, Gorman's hitting 146, and he's got the highest strikeout rate in the majors. I mean, again, how much deeper will he have to sink before the Cardinals say, we got to get him to regroup, and the only way he's going to regroup, he's going to have to get a lot of at-bats down in Memphis and just tune himself up, and then he'll be back. I don't know how much longer. I said it yesterday, I say it again. I really don't know how much longer it can go on if he continues like this.
I'm in agreement with you. What did you say, 47% strikeout rate? I mean,
since June 12th.
Yeah, you can't throw that in your lineup. You just can't. I'm like you. I'm like, I see the power potential and everything that he can be, but this is just, you cannot live with that, especially when you consider the rest of the middle of the lineup guys aren't producing either. We've talked about it. It's Donovan, it's Burleson, it's Wynn. They've been carrying the load right now with this offense, and you cannot continue to run that out there.
Prediction: Gorman homers off Frankie Montas tonight. Hey, let me. I feel like I could tell the story.
Oh yeah, we got to finish
the story. And first, I want everyone to get down to Paramount Jewelers tomorrow. My last thing on their behalf for now, anyway. They're open 10 to 3 on Saturdays. They're right there in Maplewood and Manchester at 7348. Just look for the iconic neon sign. And Paramount Jewelers is celebrating, I think it's like their 78th, 79th anniversary. They have an excellent staff, experienced and friendly, and always helpful and courteous, and they know their business. They know it cold. They make great recommendations. They can restore family pieces that have been with you for a long time but have seen better days. They can design one-of-a-kind pieces unique for you, and they have a wide array of the kind of jewelry you would expect them to have at Paramount Jewelers. Plus, of course, a lot of different styles and price ranges. So I love ParamountJewelers.com, and I want to thank Paul and everyone there for the support of the Bernie Show over the last few years. It's meant a lot to me, and I've been proud to talk about what a wonderful business Paramount Jewelers is, and that will be the case whether I'm talking about them or not. They're fantastic. Go to ParamountJewelers.com to find out more. All right, let me pick up. So earthquake, I thought I was going to die. I really did. I'm sitting upper deck of Candlestick, holding on, and finally it passed. And I had to get my story in, and I'm writing it with the globe light in the car with the motor running on this relic of a. It was not a relic then; it's a relic now. This thing, first version of, not even a laptop. I don't even know what to call it. It was Radio Shack, and I'm sitting there, and you would type these things in. It was digital, but they weren't backlit, so you had to have it at the right angle to even see what you were typing. And you only had you can only see 2 lines at once or whatever. Believe it or not, I used to get pretty quick at that. But anyway, so I couldn't. So I got the good news. I got the thing written. The bad news, I didn't have a way to transmit it, and I couldn't dictate it because I didn't have a phone. I needed a phone to do both of those things or one of those things. So a friend from ABC said, "Well, you can use our truck," and we have a phone line, but by the time, I got there to do that, there's no more phone line, not that line anyway. So I'm like, okay, well, we're going on a journey. We're going to take an adventure. So I went, I started driving around a couple places around Candlestick Park, and there's a neighborhood called Hunters Point, which is above Candlestick Park. And it's kind of a rough neighborhood. I didn't know it at the time, and I don't care. Look, there's rough neighborhoods everywhere. It's no big deal. A sports writer's got to do what he's got to do. He's got to make deadline by any means necessary.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Just had a massive earthquake, and they're hollering at me to get a story in, right? So I'm at the beginning of the where I sort of entering this neighborhood, and there's a couple 3 guys, and they're looking at me funny, like, "What are you doing here?" Because I guess I looked out of place or something. I probably looked nervous, which I was because I want deadline pressure. And I said, "Look, man, I'll give you guys $50. I'm a sports writer from St. Louis. I got to get a story in. I need a live phone line, and if you can lead me to it, I'll give you $50. And if you make sure that if you can find that phone line, and then if you can make sure, when I come out, everything's cool, and because I just don't know." He said, "No, man, we're all right. Don't worry about it. It's a little rough out here, but we got your back." And they were actually really good dudes. And so they went knocking on doors, hollering, need a phone line, So anyway,
wow.
They found a phone for me. I gave them the money, and because I was grateful and I wanted to pay for their service, right?
Yes.
I didn't expect them to wait on me, right?
Yep.
And I get in there, and it was a family. I mean, a very nice family, as it turns out, and really, really cool people. So they said, "Oh, we're happy." So I gave them $50 to use the line, and I was I got the story in. I was relieved as I was getting the story in and getting it ready. There was one gentleman in there that was, I don't know, he might have had a bong. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So. But again, they were a nice family. Just because someone has a bong, especially in this day and age, if you think about it, well, so what, right? I mean, that's kind of. But back then, it was a little and I was no virgin, so to speak. And he said, "Hey, brother, you look stressed out. You want to take a hit of this?" And I'm like, my new friend, I am very stressed out, but I don't want to do that if it's okay with you because it'll make me sleepy. But I tell you what. I could use an ice-cold Budweiser if you got it right about now. And he went, I swear to you, went in the refrigerator. He had a tall boy of I think it was Bud Light. And I sat there and hung out for a while because I was relieved to get that damn story in. And I sat there with them and had a couple beers and talked about life. And it turned out to be, it was a horrible circumstance because of the tragedy.
Yes.
But it turned out I had one of the most memorable experiences I'll ever have in my life, and certainly my career. And I was so proud I got the damn story in. They do whatever it takes. And I told some people later who live in San Francisco, "Man, you shouldn't have been going in that neighborhood. It gets rough out there. That's tough." I said, "Well, I had to do what I got to do, man. I got to take my chance." And it worked out great. And the guys that were watching my car, taking care of me, I gave them another gratuity on the way out because I was so grateful for their assistance. And Everything worked out fine. Then I get down to the St. Francis Weston Hotel, legendary place, which was the first site of the United Nations, believe it or not. It was headquartered there.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And it's like I'm like up on the 15th floor or something, and it's like, well, there's no elevators, and it was a strange scene because they had their whole staff on duty, and they were leading people around with nothing but candlelight. And so it's totally dark except for these beautiful candles. And so someone escorted me, someone from their staff escorted me, walking up 15 flights, okay?
Wow.
By candlelight to get to my room. And I was just very glad that the room had, a little mini service bar that night because I needed to have a couple vodkas, and I did. Just a couple.
I'll bet.
And then the next day, I was out on the earthquake beat, and I did a column about the collapse of the Nimitz Freeway, which was horrendous. I can still see it in my mind. Mm-hmm. This collapsed freeway, knowing that there's cars trapped underneath, there's dead bodies underneath. And I wrote a column about it, and I led off the column about with a dog. And you say, well, why would you write about a dog? It's because the rescue workers had a dog that they would send in under the collapsed freeway in those little cramped spaces to search to see if anyone was alive. And the dog would cry, and the dog would get frustrated, and the dog would come back out, and the dog was upset because he could not locate an alive human being. And the dog really wanted to do its job. And I ended up writing about this dog, just using it as a way to just capture the horror of this situation, that it even affected the search animal was just, beside himself. Mm-hmm. And then I proceeded to do a bunch of other earthquake stories over the next few days before play resumed, and had a chance to meet President Bush, George H.W. Bush, and in Santa Cruz. And at a disaster site and things like that. But anyway, I'm out of time. That's my story. But that probably was, like, in terms of not just strictly a sporting event, that had to be the most memorable experience of my career for a lot of reasons. Some which are horrible, some which are kind of amazing to look back on it. But anyway, I'm out of time. We're out of time. Really out of time. And listen, I want to thank Jim Hewer one more time, and David Solomon one more time, Dave Zobrist one more time, everyone else that worked at 590 The Fan KFNS. We gave it a great run. I love working at the place. I did not want it to end. Someday maybe we'll be together in some form. Who knows? But really thank the listeners. And all of you would stream the show and listen to the podcast of the show because the numbers have been really great. Your support's been really great. I appreciate it when you challenged me. I appreciate it when you liked what I did. I appreciated a lot of you really appreciated the work I put into the statistical research to do informed analysis on Cardinals baseball and some other things. So I'm grateful for all of that. And until you hear me running my mouth again, I'm sure it'll be relatively soon. And I will be launching – I don't have the exact launch date. I'm going to be starting up a YouTube channel. And I'll be getting the word out on that. The only thing I can ask you, just if you go to scoopsnetwork.com and you see my columns there, I will provide updates as they become available. And then that way you can keep track of me and put the word out. So thank you all very much. Much love to everybody. Take care of yourself. Until next time. Bernie, a very grateful Bernie Miklasz says goodbye for now and good night from 590 The Fan, KFNS.